What's up, guys? We are back for another Overwatch Ultimates review from Hasbro, taking a look at the single packed figures this time around. Today we're taking a look at Sombra. So she comes in a similar style package to all the other figures, just smaller. So we've got her there in the window. We've got some artwork, the logo down there on the bottom, very clean, crisp presentation. And then the back has that same artwork, stats for Sombra, as well as artwork that displays the rest of the line. So let's do it. Let's pull her out and take a look. And here she is out of the package, our Sombra figure. This might be the one that I had the most worry about, from original production images, promo shots, to the finished figure. And I think some of that is kind of rooted in truth at this point, because this figure does have some weirdness going on. She definitely has some differences just based on her design compared to the other female figures, and then of course the line in general, because she's not as movable, I guess, so to speak, as some of the other figures, and a lot of that just comes down to what they had to do to get this jacket to work and to sit over top of her. But she also does have at least one difference in terms of articulation, and that would be at the head. And I don't think we really lose a lot because of this, but it's definitely a difference. So her head itself is not articulated, it's the neck. So the neck sits down into a peg that's in the shoulders, in like the clavicle region, and she can go down pretty far still. She can't really go back, but she can bobble side to side, and then she does have rotation. She does have her hair that is going to get in the way, but she can still look side to side. So it's not a real negative, but it's a difference. It's a definite difference. And then the arms go out, they swivel. You've got a swiveling, hinging elbow, so pretty standard for a female figure. From Hasbro anyway. Hinging, rotating wrists. Now, this jacket is a rubbery piece that sits over top of her figure, so it does kind of hinder articulation a little bit, but it's not too bad. She still has the same stuff underneath, so she's got the diaphragm twist and she's got the ab crunch, so she can still go forward pretty far even with this restrictive jacket, and she can go backwards a little bit as well, and then she can twist all the way around. So you don't lose too much. You are going to lose like your bobble side to side and like your hinging to the side. That doesn't work as well because of this big piece that is over top of her, and it's glued shut as well, so it's not going to open either. Legs kick forward about that far, they kick backward, they go out. You've got a thigh cut, you've got double jointed knees, of course, and then we've got hinge and rocker at the ankles. So she is different. I guess she's not exactly too much worse, but she's definitely not as mobile, not as agile as, say, Mercy or Farah, but I think she moves well enough compared to them, just based on the fact that she does have this big rubber brick almost sitting on top of the body. Now, in terms of the overall look and feel of this figure, this is where things kind of come to a rub a bit, because this figure is the one that I can say unequivocally definitely makes the line seem smaller in terms of scale, because she is really small in comparison to just a lot of other figures. And I'll show you size comparisons. She just seems really tiny, and I know Sombra's not a large character by any means, but this figure does seem slightly scaled down. A lot of that comes in from the head. Her head seems small even for this body. Now, this figure is done up in her default skin for the game, so there's a lot of color here. There's a lot of different clashing designs and colors, and I really like it. I think she pops. She definitely looks a little different just because we have a lot of bright saturated purples and pinks and these light blues. And I think for the most part, the figure is painted pretty well. There is a little bit of bleed here and there, but for how many different colors and different types of line work are being employed with this figure, I think they did a pretty good job. You know, we've got the harness on the back, some gunmetal there. You've got the purple, the pinks, the light blues, the silver, the dark purple, and then you've got the fade from blue to pink on her legs. I think she very much looks like her game counterpart. It's just, it's not as clean as, you know, you might want it to be. It's certainly not as sloppy as some other figures I've seen, and I think this is a pretty good sample, all things considered. I don't have anything that jumps out and says, hey, that's a really bad paint application. It's just a little hazy and a little fuzzy here and there, but I really like the colors that they've used. I think they very much fit the game. They fit this skin, and they really, really pop. If I had to say one thing about this figure that I don't really like, it's her hands. They seem really gangly and almost skeletal, and I know that's kind of a design thing for this figure, or for this character rather, in terms of kind of the apparatus that sits on top of her hands and her gloves. It makes it look almost bony. It just doesn't really translate to figure form very well. Her fingers look really wispy and kind of gaunt. So it's a more of a pet peeve than anything else. I'm not sure it's a technical issue. It's just something that kind of, I don't really like it. The head sculpt, though, like I mentioned, I do think is a little on the small side. I do think that from a paint and a design standpoint, it looks pretty good. We've got the photo reel being used here, and you can definitely see that kind of dot matrixy kind of look and feel to the paint applications, but everything is really clean and crisp. You've, of course, got her, shaved side of her head with kind of like the circuitry and that kind of thing going through there. So there's a few different paint applications. It's all very clean. It's all very nice. I mean, it looks great. I just think her head's kind of small, and then you've got the fade from black to pink hair on the other side. So the head looks good. I'm just not so sure it's exactly as big as it should be. Maybe just a slight increase in size would have evened things out a bit. But then again, I do think the figure on a whole is still a little small. And for size comparison's sake, here she is next to a few other figures in the line. We've got her with Soldier 76 here, and then of course we've got her with Reinhardt, so a more quote-unquote normal style figure, and then of course the big boy in the line so far. So you can see that she just seems a little thin. I'm not sure that she is necessarily too short by any means. I think she's just a little too tiny, really. She's a little too small in terms of overall just amount of plastic used. I think she could have been beefed up a little bit more just to fill her out a bit. She just does seem a little on the tiny side in comparison. For accessories, she maybe isn't as loaded as some of the other figures, but she has, I'd say, just about everything she really needs to give you the quintessential Sombra experience. So we've got her little machine gun here, so it's done up in a black plastic with blue paint. Pretty nice sculpt. There is a lot of detail in there. She does have 2 extra hands, and they're both hacking hands. So I've already swapped one of them out, and then you've got another one here. And they're basically posed in such a way that you can use them to fit in with this energy effect. So this is kind of the hack emblem that happens when she will hack an enemy, and you actually plug 3 fingers into the base. So you've got the index finger, the middle finger, and the thumb, and they plug into the back, and then this thing sticks out front, and then you've got the skull emblem, which I think is pretty cool. I'm not huge on effects that require you to plug fingers into anything, but it seems to work pretty well. It doesn't seem to wear down. It's very, very light and very easy to actually use. So you can have that in either hand. You've got options when it comes to that. And then we've got another accessory, which I don't really ever see myself using. This is definitely for maybe building a scene of some kind, but you've got her translocator. I say that, and now I wonder if that's actually what it's called. But this is, the thing when she can teleport from location to location in the game. And this is when it's deployed on the ground, so you can just throw it down. It's black with a little bit of pink and yellow paint on there. Decent sculpt. It's an odd accessory as far as usage, but I'm sure folks who want to set a scene or do some photography or do a dio of some kind can make use of this guy. So overall, Sombra is definitely not a perfect figure by any means. She has a few hindrances when it comes to articulation due to that neck and the jacket, but she moves around well enough. The big thing, or well, maybe not the big thing, is the fact that I think she is a little on the small side, and when this line is not necessarily 1/12 scale, 100%, she does seem to be even smaller than a lot of the other characters are. So I do think there might be a little bit of an issue there, and I know a lot of folks really want to kind of mesh these with Marvel Legends. It's not a huge thing for me personally, but I know it's something a lot of folks are really looking out for, and this one might be the poster child for this line being a little on the small side. Other than that, I do think she looks pretty good. Paint's nicely done, good use of photo reel, colors really, really pop, and she comes with just about every accessory you need for this character. So overall, she's still a fun figure, albeit an imperfect one. So that's going to do it for this look at the Overwatch Ultimates Sombra figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.